Hi there, beautiful divine awakening souls. My name is Nyla Nguyen. Welcome to 3D to 5D consciousness. This channel is about helping you to expand your consciousness, helping you to become your 5D galactic being, and as well as the spot for galactic news. If you're new to this channel and broadcast, welcome to this channel. If you're a returning viewer and subscriber, thank you so much for tuning in and giving me your attention. I have a very special episode for you guys today. I'm sure many of you guys watching this broadcast are a fan of David Icke. I'm sure that you guys believe that he is one of us, helping the light, helping the alliance, exposing the truth, and helping the human collective become more awakened. I'm going to share you a different perspective to share you the real David Icke, the real agenda, the real motive behind his movement, behind his work in awakening the collective consciousness. Okay, so let's begin from the beginning. Who is David Icke and where did he get his research from? Now, I have information here, research here, evidence here that David Icke is not a real researcher. He is a regurgitator. Okay, researchers always cite their sources or show people where they get their information from, how they come to about with their information. Now, David Icke entire life's work talking about secret societies, reptilian aliens, talking about Saturn, the moon, the matrix, holographic reality, symbolism, the shadowy government. Everything that he talks about and writes about is actually not his own work. They are based off of the work of Jordan Maxwell. He is the real researcher. He is the real McCoy that brought all of this knowledge into the scene. David Icke was actually being mentored by Jordan Maxwell. Jordan Maxwell was the one that financed his career, that actually introduced David Icke into America, and it actually started him doing tours in America. So Jordan Maxwell is really the forefather of all of this. He is the one that actually started this whole awakening. But then back then, people just knew about David Icke because he was being heavily promoted, pushed more into the mainstream. Oh, you're gonna see why that is. Okay, now you would think that given all of this support and help that Jordan Maxwell has provided for David Icke, that David Icke would actually at least credit the man for helping finance his career, credit the man for mentoring him and give him this information, all this knowledge that he has. But he's not. Nowhere in his research, nowhere in his books, nowhere in his lectures or talk does he ever mention Jordan Maxwell's name. Here, I have a clip of Jordan Maxwell, how he really feels about David Icke.
So I'm the one that brought David Icke to America, incidentally. So if you like David Icke, I'm the one that brought him here. If you don't, I'm the one that brought him here, and I'm not very happy about that. I'm very unhappy with David Icke. But anyway,
Thank you.
Yeah, I brought David Icke to America, and I financed him to make him a star. I've seen the day he doesn't even talk to me, doesn't even say hello.
Now, knowing what you just know about now, do you really honestly still believe that David Icke is the real researcher, the real McCoy? I certainly don't. I totally lost all respect for David Icke, because if you are going to go out there and claim yourself to be the dot connector, which you're not, because that's also another marketing terminology that was actually coined by Jordan Maxwell. He was the one actually describing himself as the person who sees a bigger picture. David Icke comes along and also steal that catchphrase as well too. Now, if you made millions of dollars stealing and ripping off someone's work and not even giving him the credit or even thanking him for all the work for all of the things that he's helped you build and support you in your career, that says a lot about your character. That says a lot about a person's integrity as well too. I don't like that type of person who is that ungrateful to someone who's going to give you all that knowledge, It's that kind of financial support, market you, get you on the name, get you into the spotlight, and get you out there promoting you, and you go around and you claim all of this was done by yourself, and you didn't have any support, you didn't have a mentor, you didn't have someone helping you with all this. Come on. For me, he's not a real researcher, he's a regurgitator, okay? And he's not no dot connector either. I'm going to show you why that is later on this broadcast. Now, let's move on to Arizona Wilder. This was the woman that also helped make David Icke famous for that interview that she did, revealing the reptilians, the Pindar, the kingpin of this matrix, who's in control of this artificial matrix. I found her blog, okay, Silence is Betrayal. She no longer goes by the name of Arizona Wilder. She goes by the name of Jennifer Ann Keeley, okay? In this blog, she says quite a few details, and I'm not gonna be, gullible and just believe a blog without doing some fact checking. So she disclosed some names of the doctors that pretty much tortured her and did MK Ultra mind control on her. Okay, so I did some fact checking, and according to what she revealed, these doctors' names checked out. The two prominent doctors that were torturing her and using her as an experiment, as a social experiment, their names were Wilder Penfield and Ewan Cameron. These two were prominent neurosurgeons that were studying out of McGill University. They were torturing, brainwashing, mind controlling, doing MK Ultra experiments with the Canadian government and the Central Intelligence Agency in America. Her life was basically an experiment in what they can do to a mind since infancy. They were actually studying her life to see what they can do in terms of MK Ultra and how much they can shatter the human mind. It's quite evil, sadistic what these men were up to, actually. It's quite sad, her childhood and her whole life. But basically, in this blog, she exposed David Icke as well too. She says that that whole interview was staged, was all set up. I'm gonna read directly from excerpts from her blog, so that way you can get an idea in her words the level of deception that was portrayed from David Icke and how she was being controlled and manipulated to say the things she was saying during that interview. Okay, so I did not realize that I was being prepared and programmed for an interview with David Icke, a former sportscaster turned conspiracy publicist, in order to perpetrate the system's media lie and programming. That interview took place within 5 months of the last episode, and the individuals magically appeared in my life to connect me with David Icke. During this interview, I was instructed not to motion or gesture with my hands by David Icke. As well, the decision was made that I could not wear my glasses, so I was unable to see as well. I was being prepared for this role by as early as 1996 and was programmed to change my name legally to Arizona Wilder, Wilder being Penfield's first name, and Arizona having to do with the follow-up and continued research of Wilder's Penfield's work on me by Arizona State University in Tucson. Okay, so in her own words, she's exposing David Icke to be a shield. Okay, he works with the Illuminati. His whole entire career has been a fraud and a deception to mislead the mass consciousness. You're gonna say, where is he misleading the mass consciousness? I'm gonna expose that to you later on during this broadcast. You're gonna see where he's leading the collective consciousness, and you're gonna make a decision on your own whether this person is actually working for the light or he's working with the dark ones. Okay, so now we have two people, Jordan Maxwell and Arizona Wilder, who has worked with him on a professional level who have pretty much distanced themselves from him and have, you know, don't want to have to do anything with him. Jordan Maxwell and Arizona Wild. She continues to blog about exposing the Illuminati, but she does not want to do anything with David Icke because she knows that he is misleading the mass consciousness, and she wants nothing to do with this Arizona Wild because that was a program name, that was a mind control name that she was instructed to do, and she had no consciousness or no recollection why she did this, what she did. Okay, now let's move on to David Icke's action, okay? Because action speaks louder than word. Now, you would think David Icke would be Donald Trump's biggest cheerleader. You would think that because he has made millions of dollars exposing these satanic pedophile elites, these global pedophile networks, saying that, you know, awakening the collective consciousness that we are run by all these Satanist pedophiles and exposing them to the public. But finally, we have a president in office and an administration in office that has enough balls to go after these pedophiles. Okay? Within the first month of Trump being in office, they've arrested more than 1,500 pedophiles, which the mainstream media went quiet about. They've also arrested more than 2,300 pedophiles online downloading explicit images about children being abused. You would think David Icke would be like, yeah, go get them, mate. Go get those damn pedophiles. You think he would do that, wouldn't you? Cheering on Donald Trump, cheering on what his administration is doing. But instead, he relentlessly attacks Donald Trump. Here's one of his attacks, calling Donald Trump stupid. Here's another attack, calling Donald Trump a child. Here's another attack, calling Donald Trump a liar, a hypocrite, a psychopath. What's wrong with this picture here? You've made millions of dollars exposing these so-called pedophiles, these elites. We finally got a president who's actually going after them, hitting them right in the heart, putting up a border wall along Mexico and US, stopping the human trafficking and the children trafficking through that border. And yet this character, David Icke, instead of cheering him on, he's actually trashing the president. He's actually attacking the president and defaming the president. To me, something's up. It's not adding up. It's not adding up at all. Okay? Here's more proof for you. He calls the president stupid, according to his tweet. Right. This is the same president that has made the deep state look stupid because they let the deep state run their whole impeachment charade all the way up to the Senate, exposing all the deep state players in the House, all the deep state players in the corrupt FBI, in the CIA and the DOJ, you know, exposing all these players, and Donald Trump gets acquitted. He also made the deep state look dumb by making everybody believe that he has no interest or he's not in a hurry to sign this first phase agreement with China. And then voila, he magically signs the deal with China, and now we have a deal agreement being finalized and settled with the first phase with China. Trump is anything but stupid. Okay? This guy is very, very smart, very, very cunning, and he's anything but stupid. He keeps people guessing. He plays a lot of illusion and optics. So for David Icke to call the POTUS dumb, it's a serious lack of judgment on his part. Okay, seriously, a lack of good judgment on his part because he's not seeing the evidence. He's seeing his own opinions and defaming the president because he knows he's going after the deep state and he's winning. Okay, now he also calls the president a child in the White House, according to this meme. He's promoting this message that, you know, he's gonna start a World War III, he's gonna attack, he's gonna go into war with Kim Jong. You know, President Donald Trump freed Kim Jong from CIA control. Kim Jong and North of Korea was actually under CIA control, and they were using Kim Jong and North Korea as being aggressors for World War III. The Trump administration was able to free Kim Jong and North Korea from this manipulation and control. This is why Trump keeps on saying to the public that Kim Jong and him have a special relationship. That's why they're buddies. That's why they write pen letters to each other when they're communicating. That's why they never communicate over the phone, by email, but only through the pen, because they know it's being monitored and tracked. And this is why you see that there's no World War III with America and North Korea, because the threat of the deep state controlling and manipulating North Korea has been removed. We know that because Q has mentioned that in their post as well too. Right here. 29. North Korea not run by Kim. Some things must remain classified to the very end. North Korea is not being run by Kim. He's an actor in the play. Who is the director? The truth would sound so outrageous most Americans would riot, revolt, reject, etc. The pedo networks are being dismantled. The child abductions for satanic rituals, Haiti and other third world countries are paused, not terminated until players in custody. We pray every single day for God's guidance and direction as we are truly up against pure evil. So we have their information that, you know, everything is just really a big illusion. What you think you know, and you really don't know, because there's so much deceit, lies, and corruption. And this David Icke is one of the biggest deep state players out there. And as you watch the rest of this broadcast, you're gonna slowly see why he is this biggest deep state player. And I enjoy exposing him. I enjoy doing this broadcast because it was a lot of work to put together, find out this research, but it's well worth it because a lot of his followers believe that this guy is one of the good guy, and he ain't. He ain't, mate. Wait till I have more. Okay. Now he goes on to say that President Donald Trump is controlled by the deep state. Really? Is that really the truth? Is that the reason why the deep state's been trying to assassinate him and they've been unsuccessful? There's been at least, I don't know, 14 failed attempts already on his life. Not to mention that President Donald Trump has already killed 2 of their biggest players for starting World War III, Qasem Soleimani and al-Baghdadi. Does this sound like a president that's controlled by the deep state that's going to be killing the 2 major pawns that was going to be used to start the World War III? That doesn't sound like to me that he's controlled by the deep state at all. It sounds to me like he's controlling them and he's whooping their butt. That's what it sounds like to me. Okay, here's another lie. Here's another narrative he likes to tell to his followers, that President Donald Trump is owned by Israel. He's a puppet. He's Israel's puppet. He's owned by the Rothschild. Really? There's so much evidence that he's not owned by Israel and by the Rothschild that I don't know how he even calls himself the dot connector, because you don't even need to be a genius to even see this, okay? I'm gonna spell it out for you. Does it sound like someone who is owned by the Rothschild will be on their way of actually dismantling the Federal Reserve, who just appointed Judy Shelton and Christopher Wallace to actually restructure the Federal Reserve, to bring back sound money, to bring back the gold standard? This is the last thing that the Rothschild want. You think they want their puppet leader to actually dissolve the Federal Reserve and bring back real money that's backed by gold? I mean, that's gonna put an end game to their Ponzi money printing scheme, where they can just magically type in numbers into the computer, make money out of thin air, charge interest on it, and then make the rest of the human population pay off that debt with their income tax. I mean, that will completely put an end game to this whole Ponzi scheme that they've been orchestrating all these years. I mean, this is the last thing that the Rothschild would want. And he thinks that the POTUS is owned and controlled by Rothschild? Really? Given this kind of evidence that's irrefutable, right in front of your face that he's in control of everything that's going on right now, him and the alliance working together. But David Icke is still pushing this narrative to the YouTube audience, to the Twitter audience, to whoever will listen to him, that he's owned by the same people that own Barack Obama, that own Hillary Clinton, that own Bush and everything. Sure he is. That's why he's dismantling all of their work, undoing all of their plan, bring back all the manufacturers back to America, made new trade agreements, bilateral trade agreements with all these other countries, with Asia. He's revised the US the NAFTA agreement, now called the USMCA. He's reversing everything that these globalists want in an economy. He's also cut the dependency of America off of the Middle East oil. America now is the biggest producer of oil. So how is he a deep state player? Tell me where's the evidence that he's owned by Israel and by the Rothschild, because I have way more evidence showing that he's not. That he's playing by the books, by what the alliance has set up for this liberation of the planet. So bring it on. You know, these people who like to say that, oh, he's owned by Rothschild, he's one of them. No, you don't have a brain. You're not seeing things properly. You're not thinking clearly. The evidence are way stacked that he's working for the alliance. He's doing everything according to the plan and freeing the humanity. First, with restructuring the Federal Reserve, they're on the way to actually making plans to nationalize the Federal Reserve, to join it with the Treasury. They're going to be audited soon. Since when has the public in office has had the balls to actually go forward to want to do an audit with the Federal Reserve, that has plans, has intentions to do it? Because you know that's going to be coming up next, because with Judy Shelton and Crystal Wallace on being in place and being in charge, they're going to want that, because this corrupt private bank has been operating for way too long with no checks, no balance, with no scrutiny, nothing. Now that's going to change. And still he wants to push this narrative that Trump is owned by Rothschild. Come on. I'm not buying that. That's just bullocks. Okay? Bullocks. I ain't accepting that. Now, he goes on to say, he calls President Donald Trump a hypocrite, a psychopath, and a liar. Really? A hypocrite, mate, is who David Icke is. Okay? That's what a hypocrite is, because he goes on to expose these pedophile elites, right? But where does David Icke live? He lives on an island full of pedophiles. You know that, right? He lives on the Isle of Wight, which is an island full of pedophiles. It has 2 jails dedicated solely for housing pedophiles and rapists, for child raping. This is kind of odd that this man makes this amount of money exposing these pedophile elites, and yet he lives on an island full of pedophiles, and they're all Freemasons too, by the way. It doesn't, you don't need to be a genius to connect the dots together. That how could you possibly feel safe living on an island full of Freemasonic pedophiles that are into this kind of stuff, and not have your life threatened or have your livelihood being attacked? He's pretty much has not been exposed to any opposition, any type of, threat to his livelihood, threat to his life. The only thing he suffered was that tour that got canceled in Australia. Okay, he lost maybe a couple of millions there, but other than that, He's still doing his thing. He's still doing his talks. He's still writing his books. People are still buying all his bullocks, all his BS. But I ain't buying it because I see right through the deception. He ain't one of us. I can tell you that for sure. Now, to me, that's kind of strange, don't you think? That you expose all these pedophiles, all these satanic people and the elite, and then you go live on an island full of them? What the hell is that? What is that all about, David Icke? I mean, that to me doesn't make any sense. There's no logic to that. Honestly, if he was really a threat to the establishment, to the deep state, the first thing they would do is financially attack him. Make sure he will have no means to support himself, to continue his work, to do what he's doing right now. That's the first thing they'll do. The second thing they'll do is, if that's not working fast enough, they'll usually cut the brakes out of his car and then cause a car accident. That's how they usually do it, so it looks like an accident or a suicide or some type of accidental to death. But you know, people like David Wilcox, Corey Good, that is actually working for the light, working for the Lions, they have these type of ordeals to deal with. They have this type of legal battles to deal with. But David Icke, nothing. Twitter following, huge. YouTube following, huge. No censorship, free speech. You can say whatever you want to say. No censorship whatsoever. To me, sounds very odd. Very, very odd. It's not adding up. Now, here's another thing he's promoting to his audience. This transhumanism agenda. This is a big NWO agenda. Huge. Up there with vaccination. Up there with being chipped. Way up there. Because they would love everybody to be all chipped, vaccinated, and to have robotic body parts into your body, because then that means you're completely owned and controlled. Okay? You, as being the living you're a god. You're a breathing, conscious, sentient god. You have amazing powers that you're able to create realities out of thin air. This is how powerful you are. You're able to shift consciousness and create realities, physicality out of thin air. This is what you're capable of. And they want to take the human mind, which is unlimited in its capability, and incorporate with robotic parts, which is full of limitations, which will actually devolve the human genetics, which will actually mutate and change the human genome completely. That will actually take us down a path of the NWO and the New World agenda. But he's promoting this on his blog, and he's promoting this on his Twitter feed. Now, does that sound like someone who's working for the light? Does that sound like, or is that an action of someone who's actually working for the Alliance? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. According to the verse here to one of the Bible, by the fruits you know you'll recognize them. Okay? You can tell what they are by what they do, basically. Okay? That's one of the verse from the Bible. By their fruits you will recognize them. I'm showing you all the fruits of David Icke, but here's the best one saved for last for you. This is going to be the nail in the coffin that will solidify that he's one of them and he's not one of us, helping the mass conscious wake up to a new reality, to a better reality, not this deep dark one that he's been set up to promote and advertise. Okay? David Icke has made a fortune talking about reptilians, talking about secret societies. Now, all right, he talked about reptilians, but you're telling me in all your talks and lectures there's no good aliens, there's no good extraterrestrial, there's no benevolent, there's only the evil ones, the archons, the Anunnaki, the reptiles, there's only pedophiles, there's only Satanists, there's only all of these evil forces, but there's no angelic, there's no benevolent forces. also working behind the scene, to me that's kind of bias. That he's only sharing one slanted, one biased perspective. Never in his talks does he ever talk about the alliance. Never in his lecture does he actually talk about the good guys. Never. He actually, here's a clip about him talking about the good guys.
World Alternative Media here, and we are joined by the one and only David Icke. First of all, thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Pleasure, mate.
Excellent. So I wanted to ask you about something that's been very prevalent in the media lately, which is this idea of QAnon. And I wanted to get your thoughts on whether you think this might be a psyop, because it's this whole idea of staying apathetic, trust the plan, wait and see. Will Donald Trump get elected again? Maybe we'll just wait for that. And meanwhile, you have this, they claim Hillary Clinton and all these people are going to be in Guantanamo Bay in January. But what happens in January? Roger Stone gets arrested. So what are your thoughts on this QAnon theory? Is it a psyop or is it legitimate?
We have a word in England which I think encapsulates this whole theme, and the word is bollocks. You know, I've been on this road a long time, and I see the cycles, and this is a cycle that I've seen. When I was in North America, way back in the 90s, on this road when no one wanted to know then, people were telling me basically the same story, that the good guys, because, you know, it's like Hitler said, keep your bloody propaganda simple. The good guys are going to arrest the bad guys, right? And there's all the good guys are getting together in the military and the intelligence, and they're going to arrest the bad guys. And you know, every now and again you get given a date, which I don't put in my diary, by the way, because it passes. And I've come across this so many times. It's ridiculous. It's just like a recurring pattern. Oh, what shall we call it this time? And it just repeats itself. And you know, if you look.
So you see in his clips that he says the good guys doesn't even exist. It's just all farce. It's bollocks, according to him, right? There's no good guys. There's only the bad guys running the show. There's only the evil forces running the show. What David Icke has done is he's helped the human collective become awakened to a dystopia. That's what he's helped the human collective awaken to, a dystopia. Because if you only listen to shills like David Icke, and you have only him to show you truth, enlightenment, you'll become depressed and suicidal and have very negative outlook in the future, because you know the world is run by Satanists, pedophiles. They have AI technology. They're setting up a 5G prison around us. They want to vaccinate us. They want to chip us. They're furthering their NWO agenda. I mean, if you only have this narrative to believe, this is the timeline that you're actually shifting to. This is the timeline that you're going to be experiencing. And this is what David Icke's job is. The very nature of him exposing this is not really exposing. He's actually promoting. He's actually advertising their agenda. He's actually publicizing what they want to do to you, because they need to have your agreement. They need to have your consent. They need you to believe in it. This is the great deception that's being played on you, because this is how powerful you are, that you have the ability to believe things and make it become to reality. This is why he keeps on talking about this stuff endlessly on the talk, to having you believing it. More belief, more energy put towards this narrative, this one narrative that the NWO is winning. We're all gonna be chipped, we're all gonna be vaccinated. There's no good guys, there's no benevolent ET, there's no greater forces out there, there's no divine plan that's going to help free humanity. There's no GESARA, the Global Economic Securities and Reformation Act, that's going to actually abolish this matrix system. This is the reason why David Icke never talks about this stuff, because he ain't working for the alliance. He doesn't want you to know about this stuff. This is the last thing he wants you to know. This is why he never talks about Gisara, but David Wilcock does, Corey Good does, even Benjamin Fulford does. He never talks about the benevolent ETs, the positive ET races out there that's been channeling to people on Earth here to help raise the frequency of the inhabitants. He never talks about any of these things. He only talks about the dark ones, the dark agenda. This is how you know that he works for them. He only promotes them, their agenda. He never talks about the light. He never talks about our agenda, what we have in plan for humanity. Because if you listen to him, you have no hope. You have no hope for the future. You're gonna become suicidal. You're gonna become depressed. Because the world is run by pedophile Satanists. There's nothing you can do about it. They control everything. The mainstream media, all your food, your income tax goes to fund their black psyop plans. There's nothing you can do. So if you continue listening to David Icke, this is the narrative you have, and this is the narrative you belong to, and this is the timeline you're going to get stuck into. This is the deception that I'm exposing so you understand that when you tune into a particular narrative, you're going to experience the reality. This is how powerful you are as creators. That your beliefs, your thoughts, your emotions, and your action is what is getting you to generate the physical world, getting you to experience the experiences you are having. Okay? So now that I have all this evidence against him that he's a regurgitator, he didn't research any of this stuff. He just ripped off of Jordan Maxwell's work. Arizona Wilder exposed him too as being another deep state player, that her whole interview with him was a setup. She was mind controlled. She was programmed to say what she said, that she doesn't even like David Icke anymore. She wants to distance himself as much as possible. I've exposed that all of his hate towards QAnon, towards Trump, is because they're winning. The alliance is winning. He can't attack the message because the message is the truth, so he attacks the messenger, which is the Q movement, which is the movement that's responsible for awakening the public. He's attacking that. The one source of military intelligence that's actually giving a lot of classified information to the public without endangering any person's life. He's attacking that. You would think he would be Trump and Q's biggest cheerleaders, but on the opposite, he behaves like the mainstream media and Hollywood celebrities, attacking President Donald Trump and attacking the Q movement. This is the fruit of David Icke. Okay? And finally, the nail in the coffin is that, he's very biased in what he's promoting, which is the NWO agenda, further pushing their agenda to the public, to the masses, for them to believe in this timeline, into this parallel reality. Now, you have to understand, we live in a world of infinite parallel realities, infinite possibilities. Okay? When he's talking about the NWO, that's just one parallel reality. That doesn't mean it's the only reality we're going to experience. What you experience is based on the vibration that you're generating. So if you want to experience this NWO reality, you actually have to vibrate at a very low frequency to have that experience. And that's what he's doing. He's lowering the frequency of the planet by getting them to believe that narrative into that timeline. And so far, he's been succeeding. But I'm here to stop that, to expose all the manipulation, the deception is going on with your consciousness. This is how powerful these deceivers are. They're playing this type of deception on your consciousness, and I'm exposing the trick that's behind all of this, because there is another narrative. The other narrative is that the alliance has been winning. You can see in the news of all the crimes they're exposing on the mainstream media, with Bill Clinton meeting with Loretta Lynch on the tarmac, with that infamous meeting that let Hillary Clinton off the hook. The Ukraine scandal, the Bidens being involved, Pelosi, all of it being involved. Day by day, all of this news is being exposed into the mainstream media, so the public is being informed about the crimes and on corruption. It's being exposed right now. So this is just confirmation to show you there is the good guys. There are good guys. There are good people, and there is a divine plan being orchestrated right now to free human from this cabal, from this negative alien alliance. So don't believe his narrative that he's trying to say that there's no good guys, there's no alliance, there's not gonna be no mass arrest. He's gonna lose a lot of credibility when mass arrest takes place, because it's right around the corner. You've been seeing a lot of Twitter and Twitter from President Donald Trump and him mentioning in rallies that justice is coming. Q's post recently has been dropping a lot of declassifying a lot of events for the public to know about all the crimes that these deep state players are involved into, especially exposing George Soros now as being the person that ordered Obama to spy on President Donald Trump and Ted Cruz and do all the spying on the Trump campaign during the 2016 election. So that's being exposed right now too. Even the puppet masters are now being exposed. Nothing's going to be kept away anymore. But yet this dot connector still believes that there's going to be no mass arrest and there's no good guys. Right. You can tell that to a bunch of people who can't think for themselves. The ones that are awakened that can think for themselves, like myself, I see right through the BS. I see right through the bullocks, and I ain't buying it. And this message is for the people who want to become awakened to see through all the deception that's being played on their consciousness. Okay? I hope you guys enjoyed this broadcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you like it, give it a comment, give it a thumbs up, and share with other people who might enjoy this broadcast as well too, guys. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.